Grollo here. I'm back. Again. Dude, I am so sorry for the blackout, but COVID hit me hard. I needed the downtime. Enough about me, though. How y'all been? I hope good. I hope very good. So this is going to be a bit of a stretched look at last week episode because, well, I missed two of them. So we'll be looking at the last weeks, plural, since I went down. And what the hell did I come back to anyway? People losing their minds. What the hell is this tier 0 implementation of item recovery? Of all the things I watched and was reading about while out, that one deserves some attention. Some of the ISC and Star Citizen Live stuff was cool. You know, supply or die, fine. Y'all know that's not really my thing. But the org was cool enough to power me through it. Thanks, y'all. The Star Citizen live interview of the vehicle concept team, that was cool. I dig the idea of a starter salvage ship. Shame on the branding, but it'll still be cool. And some info on the Pioneer. I'm super interested in anything related to base building and crafting, and the Pioneer seems to be the pinnacle at the moment. So it was cool to see some of the design going into it. And finally, the Dev Diary performance artist thing. It was fun watching Jared run around, getting all outfitted for the scenes. I like Jared, so it was a fun show. But all of that is small potatoes when compared to the details and the drama around the tier 0 implementation of item recovery. Even Salty Mike was asking whether he should quit the game over this. What the hell's going on? Well, as it turns out, and before I even get into that, anyone who's been around my channel for a long time probably knows that my very first video ever was a reaction to a Salty Mike video. And while we certainly have our differences of opinions and approach, I have to say we're at least partially aligned on the issue of tier 0 item recovery, the implementation of it. Perhaps because we're both coming into this with primarily an MMO perspective. You know, that's still something that catches me off guard. The number of people invested into Star Citizen that have not been big MMO players in the past. When I was on Space Tomatoes podcast, he asked me about my past experience. And when I told him I played a lot of MMOs, that I'm basically an MMO gamer, that's just what I play, he was a little surprised. He said I didn't get that MMO slant around here often. I still find that surprising. So that's one possibility on like the differences and perspectives around this tier 0 thing. Now, you know I have a soft spot for devs. You know, I know the struggles, I know the dilemmas, I know the trade-offs. I know all about the opposing forces at play when, you know, important decisions are on the line, and so that's whenever that's why you don't often see me making like sweeping one-sided remarks about most things. I'll typically look at it from like, you know, at least a few different angles. There's only one angle that I could look at this tier 0 implementation without thinking it's a totally horrible decision. And let me be clear, this is not an engineering decision. This isn't on the devs. This is a business decision. The one angle I can look at this and kind of shrug and be like, okay, is that we're still in early alpha. And it's not a horrible time to just gauge and collect metrics on how such an insane change impacts gameplay. Right? I mean, if you're the owner of this product and you're actually curious, like, how would it impact gameplay if players just never lost anything? Yeah. I guess this is the time to do something like that. Something that insane. and measure the impact. You know. I can agree with that. I can see that. But and this is a huge fucking but. Who in their right mind could possibly even care how this would impact gameplay? Because it's stupid. Like, of all the changes you can possibly make to Star Citizen, like, this ranks up there with some of the most insane, dumbest ideas I could imagine. This is way worse than master modes for me, right? You might totally disagree with that, but for me, this, like, master modes doesn't come close to the stupidity of this idea. This is like, hey, I have an idea. Let's let people breathe in space. No helmets needed. Actually, let's get rid of the temperature penalties on planets and moons, too. It's a stupid inconvenience. Who could possibly find that fun? Right? Like, having to worry about, like, putting on, like, a suit that's resistant to heat or cold? Like, why shouldn't we just be able to land on any moon we want and go out and we just do our thing? Like, it's... And you know what? I guarantee that they could find a contingent of players that would agree with that decision. That find things like temperature and oxygen and weather just to be game impeding annoyances that, you know, that just, like, gets in the way of your smooth gameplay experience. But just because you can find a contingent of players that agree with that, that doesn't make it the right decision. And it's the same here with this tier 0 item recovery crap. You know, I've seen the discussions online going back and forth on it. I've seen people saying stuff like, you know, if the only reason you were playing the game is to loot armor off some player you killed, like that's how the debate starts, right? Listen, that is not even remotely near the mark. Like, the angst over this change has nothing to do with that. Stop it. It would, like, I would never loot the armor off of a player that I downed. Not that I downed that many, because I'm not a huge PvPer. I suck at it. And I still hate this change. It has nothing to do with me losing the ability to loot shit off of another player. Like, if you're arguing that point, I don't think you get it. This has nothing to do with looting in PvP. This has everything to do with risk, fear of loss, and like the way that impacts your psyche and your decision making, right? Like, it's the reason things like Death of a Spaceman have been on the radar. It's the reason for physicalized goods and transportation and all the dangers around moving stuff and mining and space flight and all of it. Like, Star Citizen was always going to be like a visceral experience, a dangerous universe that you had to prepare for and manage the risks of. Like, there was always supposed to be preparation and preparedness, and, you know, all of this is a recipe for emergence. And here's the thing, like, there's two types of challenges in MMOs. There's There's the skill-based challenges, right? Like the hand-eye coordination. Like, is your brain firing on all cylinders? Do you spend enough time in front of the monitor here, practicing? Do you have everything memorized, etc.? Like, the more difficult you make these types of challenges, the more restrictive the experiences become. Meaning, like, fewer and fewer players will engage in that type of content as the bar is raised. I mean, you can see this in countless MMOs. And the other type of challenge is preparedness, right? Like, unlike the skill checks, preparedness is, well, first of all, it's accessible to everybody. You put in the effort, you prepare for a situation, and your odds of success go up. In addition to that, the act of preparing itself is gameplay. Like, if you want examples of these different types of challenges from outside of Star Citizen, think classic WoW versus retail WoW. When you wanted the raid in classic WoW, most of the effort was just showing up to the raid with everything you needed, right? You needed to show up with your attunement and all the right consumables and your protection potions and your resistance gear, and like all of that was done outside of the raid, and you just had to show up with it. Like, you could take your time, you could do that however you wanted, right? Now contrast that with retail. All of those annoyances and impediments, like, they've all been smoothed out, right? And removed and replaced with, like, skill-based gameplay. At the highest levels, like, only a small percentage of the player base will ever reach. Like, gone is all this preparedness, right? Like, you don't need to be out there collecting world buffs and, all the stuff that was in the classic. You just kind of show up, people drop feasts, you hit a few buttons, you got all your buffs, you're ready to go. There's all that's gone. Now you just got to be twitchy, have it all memorized, be able to react like a flea, and I mean, you can see the numbers of the game today, like how that's affected engagement and participation and all that stuff. They speak for themselves. Okay, wow, that I went on a bit of a tangent there, but all that is to say that this tier 0 item recovery change, like it's removing the fear of dying, which in turn removes the care that goes into prep, which in turn removes gameplay and some level of immersions. You might be looking at this and thinking, yeah, but that's all boring. That all sucks. I'm tired of like going back and re-gearing all the time. To which my response is, like, be careful what you ask for. The desire to, like, remove warts and improve efficiency and smooth out experiences and remove the prep work and remove the annoyances, like, those are the changes that have led us to this new crop of MMOs, which are basically single player experiences with a chat box. Like, is that what we want from Star Citizen? I'm sure some do. Like I said before, with the temperature and the weather and the oxygen mechanics, like, you can always find a portion of the player base that wants something, anything, because we're all so varied, right? Like, but that doesn't make it the right decision. I for one, I want to fear death. I want to think very carefully before I act. I don't want to spawn in and run in with my grenade launcher, just blaring grenades out and blowing up huge areas, because, like, so what if I die? I'll be right back. It's cool, guys. I'll be right back. I mean, that's just fucking stupid. Sorry, it is. It's dumb. There's nothing redeeming about this implementation, except if CIG wants to collect metrics on how insane decisions impact the game, then great. This is a fantastic thing to do if that's the goal. Now, with all that said, when I look ahead to Tier 1 and Tier 2, as they've documented them here on this Spectrum thread, like, they sound decent. That's all we need. Having to go to the freight elevator or some kiosk to re-equip a loadout that we've saved, that's cool. Fantastic. Do that. That's perfect. The concern, of course, is do we have Tier 1 of anything yet? How long will Tier 0 be with us? And why can't we just skip Tier 0? Like, we know CIG's pressed for time. They got a lot of things that they need to spend time on. A lot of things need their attention. Here's an idea. CIG, skip this change. Do other changes. I don't think, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I, for one, would be totally fine skipping this Tier 0 implementation and just waiting for Tier 1. Now, I know some people are even up in arms over the Tier 1 and Tier 2 goal state. I'm not sure why. It sounds like there's concerns, however, how it'll impact the player-driven economy. But look, Star Citizen was never going to be a 100% player-driven economy, like EVE Online or some others, right? They've been very clear about that. And I am very pro this choice, by the way. I definitely want to see crafting worthwhile. I want to see player crafting give advantages that NPC crafting can't compete with. I want there to be very strong, compelling reasons for players to manage the entire crafting experience and the supply chain and the defense and everything that goes with it, because I think that's where the majority of the gameplay is going to come from. So I definitely don't want a game where NPC crafting is the only crafting we need. However, there are real problems in games that are based 100% on player-driven economies. It can open up new avenues of denial of gameplay, PvP griefing and pad ramming. They are not the only ways to control the gameplay experiences of other players. And so I've been very positive on CIG's plan to, have players account for about 10% of the economy. I genuinely believe this is a pretty brilliant solution to some of the negatives we've seen in a lot of the other games. Just in general, for what it's worth, I see a lot of deep thinking emerging from CIG that gives me a lot of hope that the kind of gameplay denial that we see in other PvP games will be mitigated here. Everything from just the sheer size of the gameplay universe and the ability to kind of get lost in it. To the plans around the economy, and players being 10% of it, to things like how base raids are being shown to work, and space station evasions, and so on. Even the capital ship combat they showed us a few ISCs back. It's clear to me that the ability to avoid that denial of gameplay that certain types of players love to inflict on other players, the ability to avoid that is going to be here. But the risk is going to be here too. And it's it's just so critical that we don't lose that risk. You know? Without danger, like, accomplishment will mean nothing. Like, keep the danger. Let us mitigate it with knowledge and prep. But keep us on our toes, always. You know? That's how good gameplay will emerge, and that's what we'll be telling stories to each other about 10 years from now. Like, it's going to be the time you damn near lost everything and you came back from the brink. We're not going to be telling stories about, remember that time I died and respawned with everything and I went right back and I got the guy? Like, that's not even a story worth telling. But what do you all think? I know you all have had ample time to think about this now. You know, this topic's been going on for a while now. Like, I'd love to know if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. Do you have a more nuanced, less black and white perspective? I know I'm trying to bring the nuance in here. Like, I'm not saying there's no reason to do this, but it seems pretty insane from my perspective. But, you know, I'd love to hear you all sound off in the comments. I'm genuinely interested in hearing how this community feels about this. Like, am I completely off base? Tell me about it. We'll definitely continue the discussion below. And just a few other off-topic things I wanted to mention before I let you all go. Now that I'm back, I wanted to just peek at some things ahead. You know, I'm always reading and thinking about the tons of great comments that I get on all these videos. Thank you. Two in particular over the last bit. One from Warren3174 saying he'd love a live Q&A at some point. You know, I think this is a great idea and something, you know, I've been thinking about for a while. I would definitely just like dip my toes in it, try it out. So I'm going to do this. I'll have a date and time soon. I'll give plenty of notice. You know, I don't really know a great time to do such a thing, so I welcome your advice on this. Like, should I do it in the evening after work or during the day? I'm down to do it anytime. So let me know what you think. It'll be my first time doing anything like this, so any and all feedback very welcome. And then Relax Gaming asked for me to take a look at the Spacetime DB reveal. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a new back end that's being built as kind of an out-of-the-box solution for indie MMOs and even maybe non-indie MMOs. I don't know. Looking to go big. Like, it kind of provides a lot of the... It kind of handles a lot of the scaling challenges for you, and the video goes into like how they do it and stuff. And so this is a great idea. Thanks for the idea, Relax Gaming. We're gonna take a look at that video together soon. I look forward to digging into it with y'all and giving my take. And lastly, people have been interested in some gameplay for a while now. Requests for that have gone back quite a while. So I finally got some of our ventures in Pyro, and I kind of took a stab at editing it and making it worth watching. I took like 4 hours of gameplay and compressed it down to 30 minutes, so it's actually somewhat engaging. And I made some even shorter clips for after that. So I'll post some of that soon. Y'all can let me know what you think. Thumbs up, thumbs down it. And that's all I got for now, folks. It's good to be back. And I look forward to digging into some of this stuff in the comments. Let's do it. Until next time, take care. Rollo out. See ya.